A shop steward is like the liaison between the employees to the union rep. So it kind of goes employees, shop steward, union rep, union. So if people that I work with, my coworkers, they have like questions and they want to they're like, why is my pay getting less? Why is this happening? I have a problem. I have a complaint. They come to me and I write it all down, fill out a little paper, and I'll be like, okay, let's see if we can fix it internally before we go external. And if it doesn't get fixed internally, then we go to the union rep. And our union rep is Kristen. She's super rad. She's like, okay, let's go talk to CBS and see what's going on. Like something that's like bigger than a small little problem about like, well, I wanted the weekend. Well, I wanted the weekend. It's more, we can actually work together, and I'm someone that I don't feel like an outsider. I don't feel like management, and I don't feel like the union where people don't feel comfortable coming to me with their problems. So they come to me and they're like, oh, well, you're my coworker. I trust you. I like you. Like, I can talk to you about my problems. So I'm there to like help them mitigate the union management situation. Actually, we just had one recently. Okay, so CVS, I don't know if I'm allowed to say the company I work for. Well, fuck it, whatever. I work for CVS. I'm a pharmacy tech, if anyone didn't know that. But they were cutting our hours. We just had a super successful year, but they're gonna come, and what they did is they're like, no full-time. If you're full-time, you're getting your hours cut down to 32 hours instead of 40 hours. And technically CVS, in order to get all the benefits, you have to work 32 hours. But people are like, well, a lot of these people, like, they rely not just paycheck to paycheck, but they rely on that full 40 hours, not that 32. So it was like a situation where it's like, well, I can't be only working 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. Like, these people are like, I need a substantial paycheck to like pay my bills, because that's why I'm here to work. I don't come here for fun. So I went to my manager, the pharmacy manager, because I represent the front store, but they weren't having a problem. It was pharmacy, because I guess we were blowing through too much OT at the time. So it was like, well, why am I getting these hours cut? So I started noticing like a common pattern of how I was going with management, where I'd be like, okay, first, you can have OT. All right, now you can only have 1 hour of OT. Okay, you can't have OT. Okay, well, you can't work full-time either. So I got a few of my coworkers, I was like, is this a problem? Does this concern you? Do you need help? And they're like, yes, like, I can't be living paycheck to paycheck with 32 hours. So I wrote everyone's name down, wrote down everyone's grievance. That's a big term in union talk. So I went up to my manager and I was like, hey, like, you can't be cutting these hours. He's like, well, it's only temporary. I'm like, no, it can't be temporary. Like, this is something that we can't just like be like, oh, it's only a month. It's only a month. Well, it's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, a whole year. Pretty soon there's no full-time employees left, and they're all part-time employees. And that's CVS's MO. They're trying to destroy full-time jobs. They're trying to keep people away from having full benefits, full this, full that, and they're just trying to keep them all part-time. So hire more, pay less. That's CVS's situation. But my manager, he's cool. I'll give him that. He is a cool dude. I can get down with Austin. He's cool. But he was like, I don't know what to do. What do you want me to do? I'm like, you need to talk to your boss and you need to give everyone their 40 hours, or else this is your official pre-grievance warning, where I am officially stating to you that if you don't fix the problem within 3 days, I'm going to go to the union, and the union's going to come down with a grievance, and then there's legal things. Like, if you don't fix them, then California law will get involved, federal law will get involved, so you got to fix it, or else that's why you see people on strike, or you see a ULP, unfair labor practice. So he was like, okay. I'm like, 3 days. 3 days, Austin. You got 3 days, or else I'm going further with this. And he talked to his boss, and his boss is like, okay. 40 hours, max. I won't go higher, I won't go lower. I'm like, I just asked for the bare minimum. I didn't ask for high or low. I asked for just a minimum of 40 hours for the full-time employees, so they can like keep food on their table, keep their kids happy, and not just like this whole, oh, well, 32 hours is full-time in CVS's eyes. Well, work week's 40 hours. So whipped out the golden book called the contract. I was like, right here, every full-time employee is entitled to 40 hours a week. So that was our big conflict. Yes and no. I feel like it's a contract, but also like a brotherhood or sisterhood or a family. Like, I know you always like, whenever you hear like, oh, we're like family at employers, you're kind of like, I don't trust you guys. But really, the union's like family. They'll check in on you. They offer food banks, help you pay for college, things that like a family would do. And you feel like so like confident. You're like, I am protected. If this customer gets mad at me and they're like, I'm going to corporate because you're a bitch, blah, blah, blah. Union's gonna be like, they're part of our family, don't fuck with our family. So, but it is a contract at the same time. But we had, but we all voted on the contract. It wasn't like, this is our contract, you sign here, you don't get a say. They drafted up one and then all of us voted, and we had a choice to either vote on that contract or strike if we thought it was unfair. But we actually just renewed our contract in July of 2021, and all of us felt like that contract was pretty fair. And it expires every 3 years, and that's when we start reworking the new contract. But we already start talking about problems that need to be addressed in the next contract. Like right now, we're starting to already write down all the problems, all the grievances to put forward to the new contract. It's really hard. If they want to destroy the union in our store, that means all the employees would have to say, I don't want a union anymore. But once we're union, we're union. There's no more union busting. A union busting only comes when there's like people are talking about wanting to unionize, but there hasn't been a chance to unionize yet, or you're not part of an official union. But unless the employees request for it to be dissolved, it's staying. It's sticking around. It is, and I'm very happy to work at it because I found out I get paid more than some of the non-union stores, which is really nice. But I really wish they would just join the union, but some people are so stubborn that their politics get involved, and it's just this whole pile on where they're like, I don't want to be a part of the union, because they get so indoctrinated to think they get so indoctrinated to think unions are bad. Because when I used to work at Home Depot way back in the day, unions were such like a, don't talk about unions. If we see you talking to a union person, you're getting terminated. They had me watch so many union busting videos, and at the time I was 18, I was like, fuck, I don't give a shit. Like, but now I really like look back, I'm like, oh my god, like that's allowed? Like that's horrible. They're like, if you see a union person, call the police. Okay, that's so bad.
Basically harass them.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, you're trespassing, get off the property. Do not solicit our employees. And it's like, your employees aren't like your livestock. They're not like, even though corporations treat us like it, we're people. So like, we're allowed to talk to whoever we want. Even if we don't like them, we can talk to them. But it's when they're like, oh, you do not, if you talk to them, you get terminated. It's like, they're the same people who are like, freedom of speech, freedom of choice, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, when we have freedom of speech, we get terminated. So that's another thing about Home Depot. But Home Depot is kind of a terrible company to work for, so don't work there ever. So there's multiple steps. First, I would say the first step is seeing the interest. And if you want to unionize, you got to really make sure. I'd say if you are a new employee, you keep your personal beliefs to yourself while you're trying to unionize a workplace, because if you want your fence sitters, the people who are like, they can go either way. They're like, okay, I can join the union, or oh, screw the union, I don't want to join the union. You got to be really like, it's a fine balancing act of, you don't want to talk too radical, even though your beliefs are radical and they're probably good beliefs. You've got to keep it neutral to appease the people who are the opposite of you. And once you get those people on your side, then you can start saying, oh, well, I wish we got a raise. Or you start planting that little seed in their head, and they start thinking, they're like, oh, maybe I do want a raise. Paid vacation? Oh God, paid vacation seems kind of cool. So once you start getting your collective of people, and you get a good amount, you want at least half the company or more. So, or at least your location, you want half or more. Because whenever there's a vote to unionize, you have to have 51%. So, like, you've been seeing it on the Amazon news, like, Amazon barely wins by, like, 52%, 53%, which Amazon's a whole other train wreck of union busting. But you want them to collect, and you got to find your union. That's another big tactic, is you got to find who you want to unionize with, because different unions offer different benefits. So it's like, if you're a mechanic, you probably want to unite with the United Auto Workers. If you work at a pharmacy or a grocery store, you want to unite with UFCW. You want to find your union, and once you find your union and you have your leader and your people, you contact the union. You're like, I want to organize. I want to be a part of the union. Let me in. And then that's when the union people come in. They're like, you want to do it? You want to join? All right. So that's when they start drafting up a contract, start negotiations with the company, and then eventually they put it to the vote. So do the employees really want it or do they not? That's how it really gets finally decided. But that's when management gets really screwy too, where they're like, all right, you're going to get fired, or they threaten to fire you and harm you and stuff like that. And you don't want that to happen. But if you're determined, you can make it happen. That's what happened at our store. Everyone was like told, don't vote, you're going to get fired, you're going to get fired. And then like everyone voted yes. So it's like, take that, management, we got it, we got you. You thought we were going to vote no, because that's what everyone said. Oh, I'm not voting no, I'm not voting no. They vote yes. Yeah, I definitely think it's a lot harder for like McDonald's employees, or like, I don't want to say unskilled labor, that I feel like that's not the right term, but like unlicensed labor. I guess is that a good word?
There's a lower barrier to entry.
Yeah, but if you think about it, if you look, they've unionized so many people who have unskilled positions or unlicensed lower barrier jobs, where they got grocery stores to unionize and they didn't have anything. I think it really boils down to is how you're being treated, do you deal with the public, and what is your job? Because I noticed it's kind of common, a lot of service industries unionize, like hotel, wait staff, they unionize, like restaurateurs. It's like, there's this like one really long union name, it's like United Hotel Workers, Carpet Cleaners, something union, and it's like a super long one, but they call themselves a really long alphabet name. But I think it's like, if you want it, you can achieve it, but you gotta like, man, loud street. If you want it, you gotta achieve it, but you gotta have everyone on your side. So I don't think it's necessarily harder to unionize like low index jobs or like versus high index jobs. Because I noticed at our union, we're trying to unionize pharmacists. They're doctors. They don't want to, even though they get treated like utter shit. Like, they're getting their hours sliced, but they don't want to because they feel like it's even more disposable. Because they're like, oh, we can find a pharmacist anywhere. There's so many new grads that we can pay for half your rate. There's so many nurses we can find a half your rate. But the public service industry and the trades, they're the strongest unions, and they're some of the easiest to unionize. But it's when you get the higher up paying ones that can be almost a little bit harder than the lower paying jobs or lower type jobs. Well, besides the imminent threat of being fired, that's a big one. They bribe you. It's more of like, it's not really a scare tactic. It's more of like like, you know how they say like love bombing when you're like with an abusive person? They give you a bunch of love, like gifts. Yeah, here's some pizza. Like, there's this whole movement with pharmacists called Pizza Doesn't Work. It's a legit thing. And I follow it all the time. It's like, we don't want pizza. We want money. Like, that's all. I know that sounds like extortion, but it is. After a certain point, it becomes extortion. But yeah, it's like, I think it's like one of the major tactics is at the talks of the pharmacists unionizing. All my pharmacists just magically got a $2 raise out of nowhere. When even some of the pharmacists, they haven't been there for a year, or they haven't done this to get a raise. They just magically get a raise out of nowhere, especially when they just had a big conference and meeting about anti-union activities. Oh, absolutely. Put it all over the air. Tell everyone.
That would piss people off.
It will piss people off. That's how I got a raise. I got pissed about finding out how much I got paid compared to others.
Same here.
Yeah, like I was getting paid $15 an hour as a licensed pharmacy tech. And I found out people who had a license less than me were getting paid $17.50 an hour, $18 an hour. And I'm like, I've been here for a year, and these new people that only been here for 6 months and only had their license for 1 month weren't even getting paid more than me. And that's why I was like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell? Like, seriously? So then I was like starting to tell everyone, like, how much do you get paid? How much? You get paid that much? And I started writing it down, and I went to my manager. I was like, look, all these people are getting paid more than me, and I'm getting paid this much. And our manager was like, this is what I think was the icing on the absolute cake. I'm sorry, we can't give you a raise because it's union rules. I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, how is it union rules not to give me a raise? I think the union's a little bit opposed to that. So I talked to Kristen, my union rep, and I was like, hey, what's going on? Like, they said I can't get a raise. She's like, no, that's a total lie. I should have been like, well, duh, but I still want to double check. Because this is when I was like a fresh steward. This is when I didn't know what I was doing. I was kind of just like, I guess I'll try to figure it out, because I got no training either. It was like, here's the contract, here's your name tag that says steward, show up to the meetings when you want to. I was like, okay. Like, I just found out I'm supposed to meet with like my whole crew once a month to talk about union activities, and I just found that out. I didn't do that yet. I'm gonna start doing it. I'll make it a pizza party, but like actually try like rally people up, not just be like, oh, that's all you get. But I think it's so important to be transparent, because when they said, oh, that's union cap, I looked it up. There's fine details. See, this is one thing I definitely learned and gathered a lot of experience from the union, is learn how to read lawyer words. Like, learn how to read the fine details, and like Article D, Section 2, or Article 2, Section D. Learn how to translate that really well, because they throw you through a loop. Like, in fact, my dad's like, he's a notary public, so he like does a lot of like reading of loan docs and like official documents. I'm like, what does this mean? Can you like explain this to me? So I used to take home that contract and just read it front to back, highlight it, write in it, and be like, this is where it talks about vacation. This is what it means. Just totally note up that contract, so if someone does it, it's like all color code, be like, right here, right here. Like the whole pay premium, it turns out the premium was if you got a new position. So if you got promoted, you would get a premium. But if you didn't get promoted, you're still entitled to a raise. But that was just a bunch of crock of shit of CVS. So I got a promotion, got a raise, and then they took away my promotion, and I still kept my pay. So I was like, okay, yeah, title's gone, pay's there. But whatever. We got another raise with the union, and we're getting another one in July. So with the contract, it says you have to increase the employee's pay by X amount. And based off your job title, you get this much, you get that much. So they'll be like, we say $2. CVS says, no, 50 cents. Union says $1. CVS is like 55 cents. Union's like 99 cents. And then it's just back and forth until they're like, fine. Okay, are we happy at this? Let's take it, because if it's not, but the union fights hard. It's not like they're like, oh, we'll lay over right away. It's not that. They do fight. They really put a lot of effort into, okay, we're not budging on this. We're not budging. And then CVS budges a little, and then we budge a little bit, because the last thing CVS wants is a strike. That's the last thing any company wants is a strike. All employees walk out. It's not a good thing. But also with my store, I have some anti-union employees. And the union provides food banks for when in strike for families that like need food and stuff. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. It's insane, because if you look at like I can never pronounce this word right. Agricultural people who work, migrant workers. That's the best term, I guess. That whenever it was like first talked about union, deportation. I'm gonna report you. So I think I'm not saying those people are illegal or not illegal. I'm saying it's the fear of losing a job. It's a fear of financial security. It's a fear of healthcare, benefits, vision, dental, whatever that you're trying to achieve from that job as a benefit, it's a fear of losing it. So the moment they start talking about like, fucking motorcycle. The moment they start talking about oh, well, maybe I want more, maybe I want more. They might come off, they're maybe afraid that they're going to come off complaining or needy or not grateful for the job. I feel like there's a lot of that. Because I feel like that's how it was with CBS before I came. A lot of people were telling me about, they were afraid to go and say, hey, I want my raise. Like, no matter which ethnic background they were. Like, all the people felt afraid that, like, okay, fine, you don't want this job, you're gone. Next screw up, you're gone. Oh, there's so many people. Like, it's a very large Spanish-speaking population. I'd say it's more populated with people who speak Spanish fluently than people who speak English, like in general. Like, there's more bilingual people than just one single language speaking people. Because we go all the way from like south, like to San Clemente where we're at, all the way up to Buena Park. That's in every shop in between. So there's a very diverse background. Oh, UFCW? Love them. They're great. Stands for United Commercial Workers, or Food Workers. United Food Commercial Workers of America. Because the thing is, they were talking about changing it, so I got used to saying the change name, and then they're like, no, we're not changing it. So, whatever, you know. But what's really cool is our union's very vast. It's not just pharmacies and grocery stores. We're pharmacies, grocery stores, distilleries. Like, it's also national. Like, it's not just in California. It's Canada and America. So it goes, I'm just local 324. That's just my chapter alone. But we have, like, we take care of, and what, do you know a place that's actually getting unionized right now as we speak that we're really trying to, like, uphold and support this industry? Cannabis. Yeah, we're unionizing the dispensaries, growers, farmhands, whoever works with marijuana. We're unionizing them left, right, and center. Colorado, California, all the other places that weed's legal. We're unionizing them because we're realizing they're getting treated like shit. So we're like, hey, let's step in and take care of these people. Which was an industry before that you couldn't even talk about that you worked for. Before it was very, shh, don't talk that I work in cannabis. But now it's such a thriving industry that you can just like, let's unionize them, why not? And what's really cool, when I mentioned before, like unions being like brotherhoods, it really is, or like sisterhood, family, whatever. When there's another union, I forgot what union, Teamsters 837, yeah. But the local 837, they were represented by, or they represent the trash drivers, or the guys who pick up trash, Republic Trash, or Republic Sanitation to be exact. When they went on strike, the union people, UFCW, just went out. We went out and striked with them. We stood on the picket line. We supported them. We reposted all their social media pages. We constantly made a lot of noise, like stand by the Teamsters. So whenever there's something going on with the other unions, we're right there by them. Whether it's across the U.S. or local, very close by, we're always there with them. Whenever when shit hits the fan, we're there for them. We uplift each other. We're all in the union. There's the union of each individual union, and there's the Union of the United States, the union workers, the blue-collar people of America. Yep. Yep, don't even hesitate. I don't even care. Because ultimately this is not my final destination. This is just part of my journey. Because eventually I want to become a nurse and work at a hospital and stuff. But see, that's how it gets conflicting for other people because they have something to lose. So I think that's why it makes some passive stewards sometimes. I do. My mom was a union nurse for a very long time before she switched jobs, but she took a short leave of absence for something. My dad was a union worker. My grandpa was a union worker. He was on strike up in those coal mines in Minnesota in the 50s when they were fucking beating people and like starving them out, where it just became horrible. So yeah, I have family all over in unions. Oh, absolutely.
They got nothing on them.
They got nothing. We got nothing. Like, I don't even own a house. Like, I still make payments to my car. I have, like, nothing to my name, really. So, go ahead. Try to take this job. You're short-staffed. And the only people you're going to be hiring is more people like me. So... biggest thing is if you're young and you work at a place and you realize your place sucks, like if it's, you feel like you're not getting paid right, you're being treated unfairly, you're getting your hours ripped off, speak up. Be like, hey, what are you gonna do about this? You gonna fire me? Like, I'm talking about people who are not at their final stage in life. I mean, what are you gonna do, fire me? What's the worst that they can do? Fire you? Okay, you get another job. I understand that's not easy and accessible for everyone, but if it is for you, make it happen. Just make it happen. Because if you let it sit too long, we're just perpetuating the cycle of capitalistic America where it's like, see, these people roll over for us. They roll over. They'll just drop dead for us. No, we're not doing that anymore. And get in touch with your local union. If you work in an industry that you know there's a union for it, like, I didn't even know a pharmacy could be unionized, and here we are. So, like, UFCW might be great for you and great for me, but it may not work great for the mechanic, and he needs to unionize with the United Auto Workers of America. So it really depends. So I say unionize, don't be afraid, shop union, support unions, and don't ever, ever, ever cross a picket line. If I see a cross that picket line, it's fucking on. No, I'm kidding, I wouldn't do that. But even if, think about your dollar. Your dollar's worth a lot in America. If you can't, I understand not everyone can not cross picket lines, especially in food desert areas or certain areas. I understand that. But again, if you're just going to be lazy or like, oh, why does it matter? Why does it matter? Your dollar matters. It hurts the company. So when there's a place on strike, like when Kellogg's did their big strike, no one needed Frosted Flakes. Your life did not, it was not going to break if you got Frosted Flakes or not. But you buying those Frosted Flakes could make or break that union worker striking for a better workplace. So I always think when you shop, but support unions. We work hard to support you in your daily life. Support us to help your daily life better, I guess. That's my final thought.
They're empty, but let's clean them.
Let's clean. There we go.